Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS!
Hit the brakes!
Hello, my name is Timothy Thomas, owner of East Texas Foundation Repair, located right here in Longview, Texas. If you think you're having foundation problems with your concrete slab or pier and beam home, if you're seeing cracked brick, slanted floors, cracks in your sheetrock, doors not latching or sticking or not closing properly, you may have a problem. Please contact us at 903-918-3409. You can also look us up online at easttexasfoundationrepair.com. We also offer drainage and waterproofing also. Again, Timothy Thomas, easttexasfoundationrepair.com. Thank you, East Texas, for your ongoing business.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of the ETX ROCKS Show with me, your host, Boston Chris. That is me. So we are out at the Red House here in Hallsville, Texas, with another great interview with an amazing band right here from East Texas. A lot of folks out there, you might recognize these names. You might have seen them around town. They're all over the place in East Texas, and they have been for the better part of 5 decades. The Del Rio Band, as a foursome, or the concept itself, has been around for about 20 years. But each member of this band has a much deeper history than just being with the Del Rio Band. Before we dive in, guys, introduce yourselves and tell us what part you play in the Del Rio Band.
I'm Joe Clark, drummer.
Mark Owens, guitar, keyboard, lead singer.
George Wood, lead and rhythm guitar and vocals.
Jerry Storar, bass.
And so I know each of you has your own history, and very, very deep history. You guys have been around the block. They're all laughing. They're like, man, where are we going with this? So I'll start with you, Joe. How did you get started in music, and where do you think that music has taken you?
Actually, I got started, took music when I was in 4th grade. Actually, I started taking music. Didn't know how to play anything. Actually, a music teacher gave me a set of bongos. And she told my mother, she said, I think that boy's got something. Well, and went on from there. I think I got my first set of drums when I was 6. My dad bought them from Sears and Roebuck.
And it's funny with drummers. I've interviewed several drummers, and it seems like they always start when they're barely old enough to walk. And I'm just like, you know, I'm a parent. I have 5 or 6 children. I never know which number, but I could never imagine buying my kids a drum set.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like peace and quiet.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, and so I hear all these drummers' stories. You know, my parents, they bought me a drum set at 6 years old, and I'm always. So are your parents certifiably insane?
Yeah. Now, really, my mom has passed a few years ago, but you can even ask Mark. You can say, hey, Pat. She say, huh? And there you go. You know, that's, all them years of sitting in my room and, every day, practicing. Mostly to Elvis Presley.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So same question to you, Mark. How did you get started in music, and what do you think it's taken you?
That's a hard question, because as long as I can remember, I've been in music. When I actually started, I guess it started in church, because my daddy was a Baptist minister. So at a young age, I was introduced to, music, because my daddy was an old musician. He actually played stand-up bass for Hank Williams Sr. back before Hank Williams was big.
Is that the Luke the Drifter days?
I don't know. It was way back there.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was always in music. My mother played the piano. So I got introduced to music real early, probably from cradle, singing in church. So that's where I actually learned how to sing harmony. Harmony was a big part of my life, and that's probably where I started. But, as far as playing in bands, which was against my daddy's will, the first band I ever played with, it was me and Unkle Dallas and my cousin. He had a 6-string guitar, and we took the 2 bottom strings off and tuned it an octave lower to have a bass guitar. And Unkle Dallas, he had a little old drum set, with probably a $5 set, and I probably had an old $2 guitar and probably a 15-watt amp. And we played our first gig in 1966 and made $5. So that's really when it got kicked off, and that was in the early 60s.
And that's when you were just a teenager too, right?
I was 13.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I was there.
So you and Uncle D went way back.
All back to grade school.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we played our first gigs together.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So same question to you, George.
Oh my God. I was introduced to probably like Mark through the womb. My mother was big into jazz, the bebop stuff. She was always kind of different, very liberal parent. She played flute in the Dallas Symphony Orchestra when she was right out of college, and I listened to my sisters. She was 50s, and so I was influenced a lot by the records of the 50s. And the first guitar I got, I think I was maybe 8, and it really wasn't my guitar, it was my brother's. But when he wasn't in the house, I would play on it, or as they said, I would plunk on it. And after much perseverance, I learned to play. And my first band was a school band with a bunch of kids, my friends, and
I remember that.
we all played. Mark was by this time Mark had moved to Longview, and he lived in the neighborhood with me. There's a lot of past there, and I just gravitated more and more in it, and it's always been a passion. It's not been something that I wanted to do. It's something I have to do.
That's it.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of people,
It kind of always drags you back too.
Yes,
Right?
Yeah.
and it grounds me. But my history is much like Mark's.
Yeah.
I started off playing rock and roll in little sock op bands, and moved on to the bigger stuff. When I got out of school, I thought, I'm going to do this for a living. My grandmother said no, and so I was bound to determine that I was going to show her.
So we will definitely get through George's incredible history, because his biography, when he emailed it to me, it started with sock hops, and somewhere in there we got to grunge. And I was like,
Yep.
whoa, he might be the only person in East Texas that's played in a sock hop and a grunge band.
Fond memories of that grunge band.
So I know there's probably people out there under the age of, say, 40 that are like, what's a sock hop? Google it.
Best thing you can do.
It'll change your life.
That's right. It's the same question to you, Jerry. How'd you get started in music?
Gosh, well, I started listening to music when I was real little. My folks got me a radio, and I just really loved it. And then they got me a guitar when I was about 10, and I couldn't do anything with it except just bang on it. Then I took piano lessons when I was in the 4th grade, and the piano teacher fired me because I played by ear.
That happened to me.
You're supposed to use your fingers, right? Okay.
Put your shoes back on, Jerry. Put your shoes on.
Bunch of hearsay.
But then I started
Gives a new
taking
meaning to the
saxophone.
word headbanging.
Right.
Yeah, the headbanger. Then I started taking saxophone in the 5th grade, and I started learning to play in treble clef. And I was going to go to college at a school in Arkansas called Henderson State. They had a real good stage band, and I played bass in the stage band in high school. But then I decided to go to electronic school, and I went a year, and then I went back to playing music. Then I decided to go to welding school, and I went a year, and I decided to go back to music. Then I wound up here in East Texas, and I've been there ever since.
So can we pretty much formulate that you went to school for everything except music?
Yeah.
So kids out there, you don't have to go to school for the thing you become. So Jerry is a musician. He's never been to school for it, and he's a heck of a musician, I promise you.
Oh, God bless you.
But he can probably, weld and, I don't know, underwater or something.
Yeah, I used to could.
He can weld in a bass clef.
Yeah, he got short of breath. He couldn't do it underwater no more.
So we'll get back to Joe. One of the things on your, a couple of people that you played with that were pretty predominant names. I'd love some stories from you on this. One of them is Dwayne Probst, who people out there will know is a prominent member of the band Little Texas. Great guy, a very down-to-earth guy.
Exactly.
I was blessed to meet him. And also Boo Miller and Claude Gray.
Oh, yeah.
I'm 40 years old, and I'm very proud to say that I know both of those names, including Sock Hops. You guys are not going to get one over on me today. I don't care how hard you try. So tell us about your experiences with Dwayne, Boo, and Claude.
Yeah, I met Dwayne back in, I guess, '83. Him and Porter, Hal both. And we was playing a little place down on Highway 80. What was that? Sugar Britches.
Sugar Britches, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I met Dwayne, and he actually joined Silverado band that we had at that time for about a year. And Dwayne actually was playing guitar back then. I never heard him play bass.
Right.
Up until then, he played guitar with us. We were back and forth about a year, and after that, Dwayne, he kind of moved. He went on his merry way. Of course, you know where he is now.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hardest working band in country music is what they call themselves.
Dwayne said, "You want to go?" I said, "No, I think I'll stay around here." Well, there you go. But yeah, I met him, and that's where I met Boo Miller as well. Boo, fantastic steel player.
To say the least.
But Boo, yes, Boo was actually playing with Claude Gray, and that's where I met Claude at. And Boo said, "I'm gonna go play with Claude Gray." I said, "Who is that?" I'm like, what, 18, 19?
Maybe.
Yeah. Never heard of him. My mom said, "Well, I got some of his records in the closet." So I listened to it, and I'm like, okay. So anyway, I hooked up with Boo and went with Claude, I guess back and forth about a year as well. Claude really, he taught me a lot. Claude's very, he's hard, but he's fair. He, he really wanted, when we first got to Nashville that first week, I've never been there. I'm sitting there, I'm going, hallelujah.
I done made it.
I pull up in front, or we pull up in front of Hall of Fame Hotel in Claude's bus. And Claude said, "Well, I'm going into the hotel." So I get my bags and I'm following him. He said, "Whoa, wait a minute. Where are you going?" So I'm going in the hotel. Oh, he said, "No, son, you don't understand. You're staying in the bus. I'm staying in the hotel." Anyway, I went back to the bus. I'm getting dressed. I'm finna hit the town. Well, my billfold's gone. So I called Claude and I said, "Claude, I lost my billfold." He said, "Welcome to Nashville, son."
You really made it now, right?
He said, "Come up there," and he said, "I'll give you some money." So he gave me $5 to eat on. Well, for about 3 days, he gave me $5 each day to eat on. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't see no sights. I couldn't do nothing. We loaded up that 4th day to go to Chicago. He come over and he said, "Here's your first lesson on the road, son." He said, "You dropped it outside the bus," and handed me my billfold. He said, "That's your first lesson." He did. He taught me a lot.
Was he pulling the money that he was giving you straight from your own billfold?
Yeah.
So he was doling out an allowance to you from your own money. That's great. For those of you out there who don't know who Claude Gray is, Claude is from Henderson, Texas, and he had a song, I guess probably in the early 60s, mid-60s, called The Family Bible, and this song is one of the most powerful country music message songs in the history of country music. So if you haven't heard of Claude Gray, you guys need to go look him up. Go to YouTube, type in Family Bible, you'll love the song. And he's from right here in East Texas, Henderson, Texas.
Yes, he is.
So, Mark, we're talking about Dwayne Probst, we're talking about Claude Gray and Boo Miller. With you, we got to talk about Elvis.
Oh, Lord.
So,
it,
I'm reading from your biography a place called the Longview Opry. Now, I'm a youngin'. I don't know what the Longview Opry is, but somehow this Longview Opry had you as an Elvis impersonator.
Well, it wasn't just there. It was a lot of places. But the Longview Opry was an organization that was created by Longview, Texas itself. It was a recreational park. The band I was in at the time was Wind River, and we were the stage band for the Longview Opry. After Elvis died, because this was in the 70s, I always did a lot of Elvis songs. As a matter of fact, my natural voice, which is not now, my natural voice was so close to Elvis's that you really couldn't tell the difference. But after doing the Elvis acts for so long, people would say, you know, you've heard of Mark Owens, a guy that sounds like Elvis. Well, that's good, but it's also bad.
Yeah.
You don't have an identity of yourself.
Exactly.
So
you get typecast.
Yeah. So as I went along, I had to totally reconstruct my voice.
Yeah.
To get away from that sound. Right. Now I can go back and hit it pretty close to what it used to be, but I can't do it as well. But yeah, we made it part of our third set of our show for a long time, no matter where we was at. I'd put on the suit and we'd do the Elvis show, and girls would go crazy, and I'd give away the scarves, and I ain't gonna tell you what else, but it was a lot of fun. It was a good experience.
So did you happen to listen to the Unkle Dallas episode that we did?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well, he had sent me a voicemail, I guess probably 6 to 8 months before he passed, and he started the voicemail off in Elvis. Yeah. And I had no clue who it was. It was just like, hey, Boston, this is Elvis Presley talking to you, Bubba. And I'm just, the heck is this? And just in the middle of it, he starts laughing. He goes, hey, it's Unkle Dallas. And so, yeah, you know, that reminds me of that. Because he would do that all the time. He would just go into character. And,
right.
And I know we're going to talk about Uncle D quite a bit on this episode, because I know several of you guys.
Well, he's part of our history.
It's part of not only East Texas, but you guys individually as musicians. Unkle Dallas had such a huge effect on so many people here in East Texas, and myself included. A lot of what I do, I have him on my mind.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. You know, and he's tattooed on my arm forever. So he's a big part of my life. Kind of replaced my dad in a way. You know, my dad passed away in April of 2013. I met Dallas probably about a year and a half later. Right. And he kind of took me under his wing in that role, and I just so honored for that. You know. Yeah. So it's nice to be able to talk to people that knew him a lot longer than I did, because I wish I had that. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, we'll get to George. I got sidetracked there. I got to talk about with George and all of you really, because I've heard stories about Highway 80 in Longview, right?
Oh, yeah.
And one of the stories I heard goes back to Unkle Dallas, and I think you guys will get a kick out of this, and you probably already heard the story anyway. But Unkle Dallas would have two or three gigs booked all on the same night on Highway 80, and him and two other drummers would kind of swap out, and nobody would notice somehow. Like, you know, it'd be a different drummer on every set, and he just got a kick out of that. So I want you to kind of tell me what Highway 80 was like back then, with so many different clubs. Oh, man. And I mean, what was the competition like, really?
There was Unkle Dallas and I one day started in White Oak, and we drove 80 from White Oak, where it's currently the Lighthouse Church, where Dwayne Phillips' mother and her husband pastored there, and that was owned by Charlie Pride.
Wow.
It was a steakhouse, and we started counting from there all the way down Highway 80, and I think we counted at one point in time, it was 48 clubs that we had played in. It was one. Yeah.
And this is over the years, not at one time.
Not at one time, but over the years there were about 48 that we counted places. We had a great time. Oh yeah, we remember that place there, and we went all the way from White Oak.
And there's probably like 4 or 5 now, if that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's just unbelievable.
It's gone from. I always say this, and I've said this on my Facebook post many times. We came up in a time that was a golden window when bands could make a living, and you worked 6 nights a week.
That's it.
Right.
And we didn't know anything, and it were always house band jobs.
Yep.
And if you got fired at one place for whatever, you moved down the street to another place.
Right.
And clubs were, I mean,
it's kind of like bartenders today.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like a bartender gets fired at this club, and the next day she's working over here at this club.
That's it.
So it's kind of like that with bands back in the 80s and 90s.
And we weren't even talking about clubs that were off of 80. These were just clubs that were on 80.
On 80.
The strip.
And currently, it's a shadow of what it once was.
Right.
But we came up in an era where you could do that.
Yep.
And it was a small time frame, and I feel badly for the musicians today because they're down to play
Exactly.
1 or 2 nights a week if they can get 2 nights.
And that really is a successful local band.
Yes,
If you can
very
get 1 or
successful.
2 gigs a week,
Yeah.
Yep.
I
You're
mean,
doing
here that's successful, and that's kind of sad listening to how it used to be.
Yeah.
And a side note on Uncle D, I met him right after he moved to Longview, and I met him at was it House of Music when it was on 3rd Street.
Yep.
And he'd come in, and I was in there bothering the people, just being their nuisance. And Uncle D came in, and he introduced himself to me, and we got to talking, and he said, you know, it's really strange. I went down to the unemployment office, and they couldn't help me at all. I said, what kind of job are you looking for? I wanted to be a drummer. and I laughed and said, D, you know, what's going on with you, man? What are you thinking about? And he didn't realize at that time, because he was still green. He moved from Dangerfield down here to the big city of Longview. And but yeah, it was the business was much better back in the 60s and 70s, and even up to through the 90s.
Yeah, it really was.
Business was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the 90s.
Yeah,
So
well,
Jerry, you have you mentioned in your bio, and it didn't make my notes, but I read your bio beforehand, and I think you're the first person that's ever been on my show that has got experience with a sousaphone.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the great big one that's got the big bell that
Yeah.
you mark with over your shoulders.
Yeah.
And I have a little story. I was marching one time in the band back home, and there was a kid in front of me. He was smaller, but he kind of walked from side to side, and I was imitating him and not paying attention to the line, and the line started drifting, and I hit a French horn player with the bell of my horn and knocked his mouthpiece up and chipped off some of his teeth.
So they had like full contact marching band back then. That wasn't that like
felt
flag
really
marching
bad,
band
too.
stuff. It was just full tackle.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
but people have thrown.
And that's not really a
luck
fair
in there
fight, a
and everything.
sousaphone versus a French horn. I've seen pictures.
No contest. No contest here.
There really is no contest. So you're from Arkansas, right?
Mhm.
So how'd
Yeah.
you end up in East Texas?
I followed a guy that was from my hometown. He was playing in Winsboro 5 nights a week, and I'd been playing like weekends. And I said, sure, you know, because I was wanting to play 5 nights a week. And then he came down here to the Rio, and I wound up going off on the road with the band. And the first night out, we got busted for illegal things. And
Was it 420?
yeah.
It was 420 when that happened.
So it was April.
yes, it was in April.
That is a great memory.
Yeah.
So anyway, I followed him down to Longview and started playing in some bands around here, and I eventually got called to the Rio and played about a year and went back and tried to get the road band going again. It was called Nothing Fancy after the Leonard Skinner album. And we had a real good band, but first time the band leader's head fell apart doing too many things. And the second time, it was me. I almost had to go into a rehab.
Well, that's,
So I wound up back at the Rio.
that's not something you go to school for.
No,
That's a punishment.
Yes. Well, it depends on your point of view.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of the guys in the band might have thought that was a break.
they probably did. We got rid of him.
Oh, he's just a bass player.
Dime a dozen.
So, Joe, I understand that you toured Mexico not once but twice. So tell us what that was like.
Yeah, I went, actually I was with a band called Trick Rider. I met them guys, Martin knows Brett Barnell. I met them guys through Brett. Yeah, we done a New Mexico tour, Rio Dosa, Carl's band, New Mexico. Trick Rider, they a very established band. Had a lot going for them. They actually had several CDs out. Not for sure whatever really happened to them. I don't think it ever.
So they had
progressed
CDs
anywhere.
then, huh?
Yeah. And actually, yeah, at some point.
Sure wasn't cassettes.
Well, demos, you know what I mean? Actually, CDs.
Well, back then we recorded our stuff on a gramophone.
Yeah, really.
My first one was on reel to reel.
My daddy still got one.
Yeah.
And we actually they done a Budweiser commercial. And that was really one of my first big experiences, I guess you could say. They played, a lot of big places. And then also with Brett Barnell, Long Shot Band. He done the same tour up there in New Mexico. Yeah, very Mark. I don't know where Brett's at now.
I have no clue.
But yeah, very good guy. Yeah. But New Mexico, yeah, it was fun. But I don't know if I'd go back there.
It's hot, right?
Very hot. Yeah, very hot. Very hot.
You know it's hot if we're in Texas and you're complaining about it being hot.
Yeah, exactly.
A quick story in Ruidoso. We hear this place is called Wind Place and Show because it's right there by the horse races. And we get there and we get to the hotel and Stacy, our bass player, he's from San Angelo. He flew in. He got there and he asked me. He said, "You got a lawnmower with you or a weed eater?" And I said, "No. Why?" He said, "Well, we're going to need it." There's about a foot of grass growing out of the carpet inside of these hotels. And that's where we stayed. We had to play 14 straight nights.
Wow.
And that's where, yeah.
You had to pull grass where you sleep.
Yeah, we had no grass.
Would you sleep with the crickets chirping?
But I do got a story about Uncle D. When I first met Uncle D in Gladewater, he was playing at, y'all remember Star Lounge?
Yeah.
He was playing Star Lounge with Ricky Nix.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And my mother, I wouldn't know enough to get in, so my mother was having to take me to these places to sit in. So I'd go over on Saturdays and sit in with Uncle D, and got to know him pretty well. And I was over there one night, and Uncle D told my mom, he said, "Just leave him here, he'll be fine, I'll take care of him." So she finally agreed. So we got done that night, and he took me home. He said, "Well," he said, "you ain't even driving, are you?" I said, "No." He said, "I'll come back and get you next Saturday night." I said, "Okay." So he come and got me, and in his black hearse. And
oh man, that black hearse.
so my mother called that night to the club, and she said, "Thank the Lord." I said, "What?" She said, "Please tell me there's an old woman lived next door she could not stand." She said, "Did you hear she died?" I said, "Really?" I said, "No, I didn't." She said, "Yeah, there was a black hearse over there picking her up." I said, "No, Mama, I'm sorry, she didn't die. That's Unkle Dallas, his black hearse." She said, "Really? Seriously?"
That's a great story about Uncle D too, because that was who he was.
Oh,
He
yeah.
saw somebody younger than himself. He
Yeah.
he really took
Yeah.
he really took to the role of mentorship
Yeah.
for younger musicians, and I mean that's what he's known for around
Yep.
here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He did.
So, Mark, I know that you've been in bands all your life, but you've also been on the other side of the coin, and you've owned several clubs as well. So.
Yeah, you make a lot of enemies that way.
So the whole concept was it just like, if I own my own club, I can always play.
and I did. I mean, that was one of the reasons I would get tired of playing all the time, different places, and I would get a club, and I would sit down and play house band. But being on the other side, you do see the aspects of what it costs to be on the other side, and you do make you hurt a lot of feelings with a lot of musicians because they don't understand that part of it. But I apologize to y'all if I hurt your feelings. But it is a different story on the other side, and
You fired us one time.
yeah, I fired you many a times, Joe. But and it's a great experience. It really is. I mean, having your own club and do what you want to do and do it when you want to do it. But yeah, I've been there.
So as we said to start the show, you guys now together form Del Rio, and I know from being associated with you guys, I've done some work with you guys, and I know this is a fairly new foursome as well. Within the last year, I guess you guys came together, and I know you guys have all played together in different bands and things over the years. So tell us, this foursome here, what makes you guys stand out from a music standpoint?
Well, we try to do every kind of music there is except rap or opera. We don't do those two. But we try to pick generations of music, not just what's happening today, but including that too. But you know, it's always been my theory is if you don't limitate yourself to one kind of music, it makes you a better musician.
Absolutely.
You know, don't ever just close your mind to all of it. I mean,
True.
Even opera, we don't play it, of course, but even opera, if you listen to that, you can learn so much from that, and you can create a new sound even in the country from that.
Mm-hmm.
So don't ever limit yourself to just listening or playing one type of music. You know, grab it and get it all, and create your own stuff from that. That's just what we are. We're a very, versatile band, and we always will be.
Yeah.
We can walk
I know
in-
when I first met you, Mark.
Yeah.
I think the first time we met in person was at Unkle D's
Yeah.
memorial, and
Right.
I asked you straight up. I said, what kind of band is Del Rio? And you said, we're a party band.
Right.
And I was like, the heck is that? I was like, does that mean they're just out there partying, they don't care about the music or whatever? But then I saw your shows, and I'm like, this is serious. Like, you guys take it serious.
Right.
You're out, and what you mean by a party band, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think what you mean is you're out there to make sure that the people in the audience are having a good time.
Exactly.
And, you guys sing songs that people know the words to, and they know the harmonies, and they know the beats, and the whole, kit and caboodle. You go to a Del Rio show, and that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a good time, and you're going to leave there happy.
Right.
And that's how I feel every time I've gone. And again, I'm a lot younger than you guys. You make me feel relevant when I'm at a show. So, Mark says all the time, we're too old. We're too old. No, that's not it, because you guys bring that same energy.
Yeah.
That, bands that are 40 years younger don't strive for, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you feel that, and anybody can answer this, so speak up. Do you feel that your unique sound as a band comes from the rich musical backgrounds that each of you have?
Definitely.
I believe
yeah.
so.
Our
Yeah.
unique experiences make
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
that.
It's like anything.
Bring it
you
all
get,
together.
Bring it all
Experience is going to
together.
make you,
Yeah.
better as it force down the road.
It's the eclectics, or whatever you call it, that combined.
We're an eclectic mix for sure.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
We're proverbial knee highs.
Well, what I think is great from talking to you guys today, at least three of you, and I'm not sure about Joe, but at least three of you got your start in church music.
Right.
And, the spiritualness, and so many different styles, from grunge to sock hop to Elvis to country and western, which is two kinds of music if you ask Unkle Dallas.
Yeah.
And, a marching band, which is jazz and classical. There's so much stuff here in this box that the box is overflowing.
Yep.
I think that's really cool. So we'll just change gears a little bit. I told you guys before the show that we kind of want to let folks know out there, since you guys have so much experience, especially here in East Texas. You've seen all the clubs. You've seen the changes over the years. So tell us what are some of the changes that you guys have seen in the local music scene from when y'all started to today, and kind of let us know maybe some of the good stuff that's happening and maybe some of the drawbacks as well.
Well, we didn't have social media. Everything we did, we had to do it from the seat of our pants.
Yep. Word of mouth.
Word of mouth, and if you were lucky, the newspaper would mention you.
Yep.
Of
If
course,
you're
I was.
lucky.
Yeah, of course, I
Pretty
was.
nickel, remember that?
Yeah, Pretty nickel. I
Pretty
mean,
nickel,
Or make
yep.
posters.
I was lucky. I got to actually
Yep.
get to know the first original Larry and Lou on KYKX and become good friends with them. So they got me into a lot of things that a lot of people didn't have the opportunity to do. So it was mentioned a lot on the radio. That was the only social media you had besides the newspaper. So it's changed a lot. I mean, you can become a star quick nowadays. Off the media. We had to work hard for it.
Right.
So that's a big change, and it's a good change. I wish we'd had it.
Yeah.
Really?
I really wish we'd had it.
Yep.
It would save a lot of miles,
Yep.
a lot of time,
A lot of tears.
a lot of tears,
Pay a lot of dues.
pay a lot of dues.
So
Oh, God.
what would you guys individually, and I'd like for all four of you to answer this question, what would you guys like to see happen in the local music community?
Think on that one a minute.
Whether musician-wise or
Just from your standpoint.
uh,
You guys are a veteran in the business, especially locally. So I think you guys could have a lot of insight into where you see East Texas music going and how to get there.
More venues?
I think, yeah, I agree with Jerry on that. I think there needs to be more venues available, and not just for the big artists. You know, there's a lot of talent in East Texas.
Absolutely.
A lot of talent, as evidenced by the number of when I say locals, I'm talking about the East Texas area. A lot of people from Lynn, Womack, Neil McCoy, Dwayne Probst, Porter, Al, all these, they all came out of this area.
Ricky Lynn.
Ricky Lynn, West Jeans.
Yeah.
God, it is just so, and a lot of players that really didn't get the credit that were due them. I come to think of Brady Mosier, fabulous guitar player. Should have really shot up and.
Well, I can tell you one we've been talking about all day, and that's Unkle Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Unkle Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
If there's one person in this area that didn't get his comeuppance, it's that guy right there. I mean, he built up so many other people, including many of the names you just mentioned.
He was very instrumental in a lot of people's careers. He encouraged a lot of people. Just a really great guy. Those people that didn't know him, all I can do is I say, you know, you missed something special.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I used to enjoy my time. I'd go and visit Dee at least once a week. I had no idea that Patty Lansford was watching in on him too.
Great girl.
Yeah.
She really is. I went to see him the day before he passed away, and I have a phone message which I will keep forever that he sent me because I was frantic because he wouldn't answer his phone.
Yeah.
But he pushed a lot of people. Dee and I go way back to actually when he started his Dallas Greenhorn act. He was working with.
We started signing his name on every bathroom wall in East Texas.
I was working in a band called Shotgun Creek with bass player Glenn Fennell, Dwayne Phillips, and Don, or Uncle D in this case. And we would play Tuesday through Saturday at the Hideaway Club on 259.
13th hole.
Ooh, yeah.
I got to tell you,
Don't go downstairs.
Don't go downstairs.
we've done like 50 episodes of this, and throughout the history of this show, we've had several folks, gosh, probably at least a dozen now, that all say, I still have his last message on my phone.
As a matter of fact,
that's what he meant to people.
Yeah.
Rick Curry, before he passed away, we did a show over in Marshall at
Charlie's.
At Charlie's, and we were in the green room, and we were talking about D, and I happened to mention that I had a voice message from him, and he said, "I got one too." We were in there sharing voice messages,
and that's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, I'll be honest, my phone is on its last legs, and I don't want to get rid of it because of that. Because of that one voicemail on my phone. I don't want to lose that.
Right.
And that's what he meant.
And it's not the only voicemail I have from D, because he would call me all the freaking time.
Yes, he would.
Yeah. And you know how normally when you get the voicemail, usually you just hit cancel or whatever. You don't want to leave a message. That was not Uncle D. No, he was leaving a message, and it was probably going to be 5 or 6 minutes long.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's just who he was,
Yeah.
and he was persistent in getting your attention. He demanded your attention.
Oh,
Yeah. He was going to get it one way or another.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, we need more venues, and I think more of the older musicians need to, be as like Uncle D and mentor the younger guys that are coming along.
I think that's something that's definitely missing in the community right now.
And it is. There's not enough camaraderie.
Yeah.
We need to help these young guys and girls that are doing well and encourage them to keep on. And I think there needs to be a thicker brotherhood.
Absolutely.
That's it.
That's a great advice.
More
So, what do you guys have going on besides the Del Rio Band, like habits? And I know, Mark, you have a karaoke show. Boo. I know. But
It makes money. Pays the bills.
so, what do you guys like to do outside of music?
Oh man.
I like to shoot a lot of guns.
Yeah.
I'm into shooting
I
guns.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We shoot guns. Got one grandbaby that keeps me busy. Yep, very busy. Of course, I have a day job, and that keeps me a lot busy.
Me too.
And yeah, I do some fishing.
I feel bad for
And
you.
yeah, really, really. And I'm
Don't rub it in, George. You're replaceable.
Not at our age, you don't replace. You hold on to it as long as you can.
All right, so this is going to be a little fun. This is called rapid fire, and I told Mark about this a little bit. The concept is you guys will have 90 seconds to answer 10 questions. The questions are basically would you rather, like would you rather this or this, and you have to answer one or the other. It can't be both, and it can't be neither. Okay?
Huh?
You ready for this? So I'm going to ask the question. All four of you say the answer at the same time. All right, this is rapid fire with the Del Rio Band. Number one, would you rather be the opposite gender for a day, or would you rather be a kid again for a day?
Kid.
Kid again.
All right, pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
Pizza.
All right, would you rather lose your vision or your hearing?
Vision.
Vision.
Oh, this is easy. Which superpower would you rather have? Would you rather have flashlight hands, or would you rather make people fart on command?
People card on.
Yeah, that's what I would do. That'd be funner.
All right.
I like that idea.
All right, would you rather go back and save Elvis or save John Lennon?
Elvis.
Elvis.
All right, would you rather go to the mall or go yard sailing?
Yard
Yard
sale.
sale.
All right, would you rather laugh for no reason every 15 minutes or cry inconsolably every hour for no reason?
I'll go with the laughter.
All right, Santana or Eric Clapton?
Santana. I said Santana. I was the only one.
Yeah, there you go. All right, would you rather have a personal chef or a personal masseuse?
Masseuse.
All right, would you rather be able to talk only in questions or be able to talk only in song titles?
Song title.
Sometimes. I do that all the
All
time.
right, karaoke or live music?
Live music.
Music.
Why you looking at me for?
And that was rapid
We all
fire.
looking at you going, uh-huh.
Bit your tongue on that one.
Yeah.
He went, keep live music. All right, so tell folks out there where they can find the Del Rio Band on social media and the internet.
You can find it on Facebook at Del Rio Band. That's all capital letters. If you type it any other way, you won't find it. You can also go to each one of our sites, personal sites, and you'll see a lot of stuff about us, videos and places we're playing.
Okay?
And,
And what about booking information?
booking information, you'd call, let me give a number.
Yeah.
Okay. It'd be 903 305 5828. And you ask for Stephanie. She takes care of all my stuff for me. She's good at it.
She is the boss.
Yeah.
Because Mark can't remember nothing.
That's right.
So you
Little
guys-
old timers.
Yeah, the old CRS disease.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why I called her earlier to get direction.
And they weren't even here yet. I would just like to point out that the drummer got here first. Out there. Drummers rejoice.
I was second.
And no, you were not. Jerry was.
Thanks, Jerry.
Oh, that's because Jerry rode with the drummer.
And then the guitar player comes in, dead last.
Hey, you and Joe were like switching roles today.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was about.
Exactly.
So do you guys have any last words of advice for anybody out there that might be struggling with music or just to get into the business? And
Don't stop. Stay true
Yes.
to yourself.
Straight true. That's right. Stay true to yourself.
Stay true to
That's
yourself. Yeah, don't
Keep,
stop what
keep
you're doing.
plugging, keep
That's
plugging.
Through the good and the bad.
When you drop your pick it up.
Yep.
yeah, because the females will grab that
That's
quick.
Play what you like, but try something different every now and then, just to help yourself
Yep.
learn more.
That's right.
Me
Grunge.
I would say never get too comfortable in what you're doing. You know, always be willing to expand your network, whether it's in music or any other part of life.
That's right.
Don't ever get too comfortable in what you're doing. So once again, this has been another great episode of the ETX ROCKS Show. Remember, you guys, you can check out Del Rio Band on Facebook, all capital letters, Del Rio Band. And just by saying that out loud, you are certifiably bilingual. Because two of those words are Spanish.
Little River.
We really appreciate you guys tuning in to another great episode of the ETX ROCKS Show. Guys out there, remember to keep on supporting local music and
ETX
Rock.
This is Katie Kennedy, the owner of the Liberty Bell located in historic downtown Nacogdoches. We would like to invite you to come on down for our live music, our extensive menu, including our brunch menu available on the weekends, and excellent service. We're open every day of the week except for Monday. We've got live music every day and drink specials. So we'd love to see you in Nacogdoches. Come on down, tell them Katie sent you.
We are ETX ROCKS!
Hit the brakes!